Live united.
Vivimos juntos.
We live united.
We live united. I live united.
Hello and welcome to Live United. I'm your host, Milton Little. On today's show, we feature two corporate partners taking a philanthropic lead in our child well-being movement, South and Wells Fargo. Now, if you're familiar with the child well-being movement, you may know that nearly 500,000 children in Greater Atlanta live in communities with low or very low child well-being. United Way's goal by 2027 is to improve the well-being of more than 250,000 children across Greater Atlanta through partnerships with nonprofits, businesses like South and Wells Fargo, volunteers, donors, governments, and foundation partners. In our first segment today, we'll speak with United Way of Greater Atlanta's Lauren Brooks about how we're teaming up to provide a new way for employees to engage in philanthropy, the Salesforce.org Philanthropy Cloud. And she'll be joined by Carley Stevens of South, who will talk about that company's investment in the child well-being movement and why they chose to integrate the Salesforce.org Philanthropy Cloud into their year-round engagement strategy. In our second segment, we'll speak with United Way of Greater Atlanta's Keith Barsuhn about corporate partners in Greater Atlanta who are adopting year-round engagement strategies to make a bigger philanthropic impact and recruit and retain a talented workforce. He'll be joined by Wells Fargo's Christy, who will talk about the company's investment in Greater Atlanta's children, families, and communities, and how year-round engagement is building a company culture that is truly focused on giving back. Now, let's get started. I'd like to welcome to the show Lauren Brooks, who's the Vice President of Corporate Relations at United Way of Greater Atlanta, and Carley Stevens, the Community Affairs Program Manager at South. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
So Lauren, we'll start with you.
Okay.
Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about what you do at United Way, and perhaps even how you got there?
Sure. Well, I have been lucky enough to have my entire career be in the nonprofit sector since I graduated from college. And I landed at United Way about 8 years ago because I wanted to move to an organization that was really focused on helping all of those in the community, and nobody does that better than United Way. I, in my work role, have the great privilege of working with our key corporate partners and building those strategic partnerships and helping them to meet their goals for community, and also have the privilege of helping to lead the way in bringing Salesforce.org Philanthropy Cloud to Atlanta.
Oh, great. And Carley, you're an old friend and colleague. So tell the audience a little bit about you and
Sure.
about the relationship we have that goes beyond simply the United Way South partnership.
Of course. Well, you were my CEO a couple of years ago. I started with United Way in 2011 and really got my start there as a development officer and worked side by side with Lauren and many other wonderful, wonderful people that have become very good friends of mine and still are to this day. I owe a lot of my skill set and where I am now to United Way. It's just an incredible organization, inside and out, filled with incredibly great people, but also just the heart of what United Way does is fantastic. And I wish more people understood kind of how I do from an internal perspective what United Way does and how great the company is just for this community in general and across our nation. And once I worked for United Way, I really got the itch because, of course, I was always asking for money, which I love to do, but I got the itch to give it away. I wanted to give the money. And so I came to South. I ran South's campaign for United Way when I was working with United Way and made some really good corporate friendships there. And so when they hired me on, it was a natural fit for me to start making those decisions on how to give it away. And thankfully, we give a good portion right back to United Way because of your great partnership and the great work that you guys do in the community.
Well, it's great to have you here. Great
Thank
to have
you.
both of you here.
Thank
So,
you.
Lauren, we're here to talk a little bit about year-round engagement. I'm not sure everyone in the audience knows what that is, so maybe you should talk a little bit about what it is and perhaps why it's so important, especially for the work that United Way is trying to do.
Sure. So what we have found is that, employees no longer just want to be engaged during that finite period when it comes to just fundraising and investment, but they really want to see, where their dollar is going, what it's being invested, and connect to the needs of the community. And United Way is uniquely positioned to help do that from a volunteerism standpoint, from an educational standpoint. Our subject matter experts in all lines of what we do around community needs are there to educate employees and corporations about the best and most important impact of their dollars, and for us to really build this robust year-round partnership as it relates to all of those aspects to meet both the company and employee need.
Great. Now, Carley, Gas South and United Way have had lots of partnerships on lots of things, and we're deeply excited about the role that you've decided to play with child well-being. What's behind that, and what do you see Gas South helping to do specifically?
Absolutely. Gas South really revamped our purpose last fall, which was great, and it's to be a fuel for good. And we wanted that to resonate with our employees as well as our customers and our clients. And then they took it a step further, and our executives made the commitment for our company to give 5% of our profits back to children in need. They decided that that was really mostly through our partnership with United Way and the incredible research that United Way had done in the community around what are our needs in Metro Atlanta, that settling on child well-being and the commitment to children in need was just a great focus, that once our children thrive in our communities, then we all thrive. And whether or not you personally have children, you are a child, or you may have, you may have siblings. You may be an aunt or an uncle. You're affected some way, somehow by children. And so we felt that this resonated very well with kind of who we were and who we've always been, but we wanted to articulate it in that way. And so naturally, a partnership with United Way was just a great fit because of your focus and because of our new commitment and your influence in that. We really want to, we use the cliche, move the needle, but in that area, but do it authentically and genuinely in a way that's going to be sustainable. And we really feel that United Way is that collaborator, that convener in our community that has the ability, the expertise to be able to actually do that. We can work with lots of nonprofits independently, and a lot of companies do that, but when we're spreading our resources so thin across such a large area, such as Metro Atlanta, with the multiple needs that we have, they just don't have the impact we're looking for. So a partner like United Way is integral to what we're trying to do in the community and just really support, our customers, our clients, and our employees and where they live and work.
Is there a particular example of an activity or an initiative that you're particularly excited about?
Sure. We're actually really excited about the Kids Home Initiative. Gas South is made up of over 50% millennials now. We have all 5 generations in the workforce, which is fantastic and sometimes challenging for our volunteerism efforts. But with Kids Home, and that being attributed to United Way's Young Professional Leaders Group, and just what they're doing specifically in Cobb County, where our headquarters is based, it's something that's really exciting for us because we can really see and track and feel, our partnership working in that space. And our employees are excited about the opportunity to engage there as well, whether it's through just being a young professional leader or whether it's through kind of our volunteerism efforts in that space and just where their money goes during our corporate campaign. So I think they're really excited about that, and the work that's being done and how it's being expanded upon going forward is also really exciting, and we're looking forward to seeing where it goes.
That's great. I'll say quickly for the audience that Kids Home is an initiative that's focused on kids who are at risk of being homeless or experiencing homeless, and it's a way to help stabilize their living situation and keep them in school and on track to graduate, and we're happy to have you as part of that. Gas South has also decided to get involved in the new platform we're building that focused on year-round engagement, Salesforce Philanthropy Cloud. Say a little bit about what it is from your perspective and why it was important for Gas South to get involved.
Sure. It's definitely a mouthful, but the platform itself is very simple and just kind of what it's trying to do. And I think what excites me most, and I think, you know, it's the individual aspect of it. I think our employees are going to be excited because they have their own kind of individual profile and platform for their giving, whether they're with Gas South or not, that they can kind of keep track of. I love it because they will always see our corporate goals as well as part of that platform, so they know where we're giving, but they're not tied to that. So the cloud allows them to you know, really express what their causes are, where they want to give, and allow them to give in that space. And I think from my perspective, you know, corporations have been trying to differentiate ourselves in the philanthropy space for so long, and my opinion is that we shouldn't be doing that. We should differentiate ourselves in our marketing departments and our communications departments, and we should really start to come together when it comes to issues in our community and pool our resources rather than try and spread them. And, you know, you should be with us because we're doing this over here. You should be with us because we're over here. And I think the Philanthropy Cloud, the more corporations that sign on, the data that we're going to get from that is really going to be able to kind of push that message that really companies, we have all these great resources. We have a lot of money from the private sector here in Atlanta. We've got a ton of it. Let's put all of that behind one issue and solve that, and then let's move on to the next. And I think from, you know, a big picture, the Philanthropy Cloud will allow us to do that better and really be able to show what we can do with a big chunk of resources, time and talent and people and money, whatever it is, to really make a difference. And I think that's going to be compelling. And I'm super excited about that. And I hope my colleagues will be as well.
In the 30 seconds or less we have, Lauren, if
sorry.
anybody in the audience wants to learn more about Salesforce Philanthropy Cloud, what do they do?
Sure, they can contact me at lbrooks@unitedwayatlanta.org or by phone 678-623-2971. We would be happy to come out and provide a custom demo for them and show them how this exciting platform can be the end-to-end solution for their philanthropic engagement needs, both from a corporate and employee perspective.
End-to-end solution.
End-to-end solution.
Those are good things.
Yes.
Lauren Brooks, Carley Stevens, thanks so much for being here. We're very proud of the very long-standing partnership that we've had with Gas South, and even more excited about working together on Salesforce Org Philanthropy Cloud to engage Gas South employees even further. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Priya, and I'm the spokesperson for United Way. United Way helps make communities awesome, but do you know they have a lot of help? Well, now you do. United Way has a ton of help from people just like you. Oh, and me. People like us, I like to call communitarians, because we care a lot about our communities. For us, caring means doing something, and United Way helps turn all of our caring into a whole heck of a lot of doing. United Way is powered by awesome communitarians. You should totally join us. And hey, I know the best way in. Hi, I'm Priya, the spokeskid for United Way, and I'm here to tell you how United Way's Impact Fund makes our community awesome. When you give to the Impact Fund, good things happen. We build teams of nonprofits to work together to help kids stay in school, make sure they have a doctor to go to, and help our communities become better places to live. So what are you waiting for? Give to United Way's Impact Fund to keep making our community awesome.
Welcome back. In our last segment, we learned about the wonderful work Gas South is doing to make an impact on children, families, and communities all across Greater Atlanta, and how Salesforce Org's Philanthropy Cloud is making it easy to get involved. It's a platform that manages giving, volunteerism, grants management, fund disbursement, and real-time impact reporting, all in one interactive and engaging place. Now, I'd like to welcome to the show United Way of Greater Atlanta's Chief Development Officer, Keith Barsuhn, and Wells Fargo's Vice President, Atlanta North Georgia Community Affairs, Christina Christy. During this segment, we'll talk about Wells Fargo's investment in Greater Atlanta's children, families, and communities, and how year-round engagement is building a company culture that is truly focused on giving back. Happy to have both of you here.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
Keith, let's start with you. Tell the audience a little bit about who you are and this role that you occupy, the Chief Development Officer.
Sure. I've been with United Way for over 35 years, and the current role here is a Chief Development Officer for 5 in Atlanta. And in that role, my responsibility includes the donor campaign, whether it's individual donors, workplace giving, corporate grants. We raises about $75 million annually. It's one of the largest in the country. Works with over 1,000 companies, over 130,000 donors currently make up a part of the donor campaign, annual campaign for United Way.
Thank you. Now, Kristina, you've been here before. So for the 1 or 2 viewers who didn't see you the last time, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about who you are and what you do for Wells Fargo?
Sure. So as the Vice President of Community Affairs, I work with the company's philanthropy, volunteerism, and nonprofit sponsorships. But I like to think that one of the best part of my jobs is working with organizations like United Way to create and execute programs that bring social and economic lasting change to the Metro Atlanta area.
Oh, great. Keith, you talked a little bit about the donor campaign and those activities. But let's talk about year-round engagement, what it is, how it's different perhaps from the donor campaign that most people associate with United Way, and what we're trying to do differently going forward.
Yeah, perfect. Because donor campaign is a component of a year-round, strategic year-round engagement strategy that we are evolving to with companies. We're known for that traditional fall campaign. Most companies will run a period, a month or two, raise pledge collections, use payroll deduction, then we're back a year later doing the same thing. Obviously, there's a great system for allocating those dollars. But year-round engagement is really about understanding company goals for community change and aligning those with United Ways, and then looking at all the various components that we can work together on that. So in addition to giving, it includes volunteerism, whether that's group volunteer projects, whether that might be helping individuals get involved, volunteerism along their passions. It looks at corporate grants, how to make sure grants given to United Way are allocated that align to company goals, and customized communications that help align to their interest, employee interest, to tell them about the impact and the work that we're doing through United Way and to United Way together.
Now, Kristina, Wells Fargo for a long time has had the largest national United Way campaign, bar none. So what do you expect year-round engagement to add to what seems to be an already effective giving culture within the company?
Sure. So, well, in Atlanta, we have what is called an Atlanta Volunteer Chapter Board. And that board represents every major line of business here in Atlanta that Wells Fargo has. And there's about 30 of us, and we meet monthly to plan employee engagement and volunteer opportunities. So, for example, starting year-round, starting in January, we started off the year with an MLK event. We did some food packing at a food pantry in Southwest Atlanta. And then in the spring, we had our annual day of service. We call it Super Saturday. In the Atlanta area, we had 21 projects, almost 500 team members were volunteering in that day. It was actually a day all Southeast-wide, not just here in Atlanta. But those 21 projects, it also happened to fall on Green Day, so we did a lot of, we worked with our Green team. It's another employee program that we have. And then in the summer, we worked with Silence the Growl. In addition to our $173,000 grant to United Way for Silence the Growl, we had a volunteer project at Action Ministries where we were packing food. Right now, we're in our community support campaign, our United Way campaign. And this is a big month for us, having employees give, but also volunteerism. So we're asking our employees to pledge, but also to volunteer and get involved in the community. So we have, in the month of September, we have projects at Project Open Hand, Atlanta Community Food Bank, Beltline. We're doing a cleanup that we adopted. We have partnered with United Way to work with high schools on financial literacy. So September's a busy month for us. But then also our board, we have special days at Junior Achievement, the Discovery Center downtown, and the USO at the airport. And those days are reserved for Wells Fargo team members to go volunteer. So we're always, every month, we also have those programs too. And then coming in December, we're going to have our, this will be the second time we have a big food drive and a food bank that we're working on. So it's year-round engagement.
There's no doubt that makes a difference for the community. What difference does it make for the people within Wells Fargo?
Well, they ask for opportunities. They ask for ways to get involved. Actually, I'm beginning a lot of requests to go visit United Way in the 211 call center. They're interested in learning more about the community and how to give back. So having those opportunities to see more, to branch out, they like that.
Great. Now, Keith, you've got a pretty unique perspective. You get a chance to see year-round engagement. You get to see corporate engagement in a variety of settings all across Greater Atlanta, and you've had experience in other communities as well. What difference do you see an emphasis on year-round engagement meaning to the United Way, to the community, to companies as we go forward?
Well, I think first of all, I think it means more resources that are focused on solutions in areas of greatest need. It also, I see the more year-round engagement that happens, the more employees participate. Whether it's time, maybe it's just time. Eventually, it's also with money. It also better informs employees about the community, things going on in the community, what the company is doing. Many employees sometimes tell me that they didn't realize how much the company invested in community and how some of the projects that the company is a part of, are important to them, and the great feeling about that. I think about the Financial Capability Network being a great initiative, a partnership between United Way and Wells, and went on for 5-6 years. And eventually, when we talked about communications, learning, a lot of the employees didn't know much about it, but once learning about it, could get more involved.
So people often, Chris, ask the question, so what difference does it make? What's the impact that we're having? If you have that conversation within Wells Fargo, how do you answer the question to those who want to know?
I like to talk about our unique programs and how Wells Fargo is unique in the community. And there's a few ways. Let's see, we have a team member volunteer program. It's called TMVPs, where if employees gather and they commit a certain amount of hours, they can get up to $60,000 to either build homes or rehab homes. So like, for example, this year we did that, and we worked with habitats in the region and rebuilding together. So that's a unique program that Wells Fargo has. I like the uniqueness of it. Another program that we have that's unique is our handsonbanking.org. That's financial literacy. It's a free website. It is not branded Wells Fargo. It's free to anyone. And there's financial literacy tips for seniors, for children, for veterans. And our employees can use, or we call them team members, our team members can use that website to go out and teach financial literacy. And specifically during 2 campaigns, we have our Teach Children to Save and Get Smart About Credit in the spring and the fall. So those are unique, skilled volunteerism that are unique to Wells Fargo.
So how are you seeing, Keith, the workplace evolving and workplace philanthropy evolving? Are people feeling like they have to make a choice between sort of traditional campaign and year-round engagement, or do you see the world in which both coexist and support one another?
I definitely see a world where they can coexist because, again, one of the best parts of having a strategic partnership is how you talk about it internally and what you talk about. And what I see, the ability to be able to listen to what employees are interested in, be able to deliver to them options for getting involved and giving that align to that, and to be able to show them the work that we already do in that space, I think gives us the opportunity to strengthen how people can give to United Way, to the Impact Fund, but also allow flexibility to work with the company to get involved and give to specific work that we're doing together, and to be flexible with that. If I recall, even at the beginning of the year, there was a big emphasis on promoting education within Wells Fargo and what United Way was doing there. And then later, the entire effort around food and hunger came about. So we were able to be flexible along the way and shift the plan to everyone's benefit.
And I'd like to add, those are our best nonprofit partnerships when we're not just giving a check, but we also have our team members involved. So working with United Way, but also doing volunteerism with United Way, or donating to the Atlanta Community Food Bank, but then also doing food packing. It's definitely both, having that check and volunteerism.
Great. Kristina, this has been a fabulous partnership with Wells Fargo. Keith, if there's somebody in the audience who's watching who wants to do something like what Wells is doing, how do they learn more? How do they begin to understand what opportunities there are to expand their giving strategy and engagement?
Best thing to do, two things. One is contact United Way and contact my office, my team, or go to the website. Our United Way website is the child well-being agenda and plan and community mapping and all the work we do is there, and we're able to help you with putting together the type of program initiative, working with existing things to build capacity to leverage their support along with other great partners to have a greater impact. We can map it out for them, and that's a great place to start.
Well, great. Kristina, thank you for coming back to the show and representing Wells so fabulously. And Keith, thank you for being here. It is clear from what you have shared with the audience the power of year-round engagement and what it can do to make a difference. Employee giving programs are strengthened when companies offer the opportunity to increase engagement. And this combination positions those companies to be good corporate citizens and to make an even larger philanthropic impact. I want to thank all of our guests today for joining us and helping our audience learn more about what Wells Fargo and Gas South are doing and how they are using year-round engagement to make a big impact on employees and the communities, and how Salesforce.org's Philanthropy Cloud is making it easy for employees to get involved in one interactive and engaging place. Did you know that nearly 1.3 million children live in Greater Atlanta, but close to 500,000 children live in communities with low or very low child well-being? Through United Way of Greater Atlanta's Child Well-Being Agenda, we're working to change that by improving the lives of more than 250,000 children by 2027. To learn more about how you can become part of the child well-being movement, visit UnitedWayAtlanta.org. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.